The It Ends With Us drama has finally ended. The long and voluminous legal saga between actress Blake Lively and director Justin Baldoni has just ended with a settlement, according to reports by the media. Hi, future Lita here. I apologize for the interruption, especially so early in this video. But after I filmed this and during the editing stage, some new information came out that, well, let's just say it's not exactly over. So where there are corrections or updates that are needed, you'll see me looking and sounding like this popping in. But most of what I originally said in this video remains unchanged, so please do keep watching. Okay, let's get back to it. And whenever a case like this ends, many people want to try to figure out who's the real winner here. Now, for starters, I will say that as someone who has litigated civil cases to settlements, there usually is no clear winner, no total victory for either side. That's just kind of the nature of settlements. And that's because usually a settlement means that both sides are agreeing to come to the middle on something so that they can walk away without having to go to trial. So when it comes to any settlement, I usually hesitate to actually think in terms of who won and who lost. But with that said, we can take a step back here and look at where things started before this litigation and what the relative goals for either side may have been, and then look at where they are now. At the same time, sometimes victory might look a little different to one person than it does to another because of a number of factors. And in this case in particular, when I do take a step back, like I said, I think no one can declare a total victory here, but I think at the same time, when it comes to everything Blake Lively needed to do in order to win in terms of the litigation arena, the business arena, and in the court of public opinion, I think this settlement ultimately marks a complete failure in her campaign. Let's get into it. So, okay, let me just start out in this video by apologizing for my voice here. I've been sick for over a week now, and that doesn't sound very long, but when you have a cough that wakes you up at basically all hours of the night, it feels a little more like
it's been 84 years.
And then when you add third trimester tiredness on top of all of that, all I can really say is,
bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
But anyway, hopefully by the next video, I will be back to healthy again. But just for now, I appreciate you just bearing with me. Now, if you've been following this case from the beginning, you probably know the whole litigation story. But just to make sure that we're all on the same page here, and maybe to give a little bit of a quick refresher, I want to briefly touch on the highlights. The drama started bubbling up around the August 2024 premiere of It Ends With Us. People online started picking up on what looked like serious tension between Lively and her director and co-star Justin Baldoni. And around that same time, an old press junket interview from a different movie got dug up and it went viral. That was the now infamous Cafe Society interview Lively did with Parker Posey and journalist Kirsty Flaw.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
You've got two nice ones.
That one clip, plus a handful of others like it, basically rebranded Lively as a mean girl overnight in the public eye. And from that moment on, her image started taking a very real hit, including with companies tied to her businesses. Then, on December 31st, 2024, Lively jumped into the lawsuit arena. She filed a federal complaint accusing Baldoni and his production company Wayfarer Studios of sexual harassment on set. And she also alleged a coordinated smear campaign against her in retaliation for raising her alleged concerns. And who can forget her New York Times article where she splashed all of these allegations to the public at large. Anyway, just over 2 weeks later, on January 16th, 2025, Baldoni and the Wayfarer Parties came right back. They filed their own lawsuit against Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Lively's publicist, and the New York Times for defamation and extortion. But here's where things went a little bit sideways for Baldoni. On June 9th, 2025, Judge Louis Lyman threw out the entire Wayfarer Parties complaint against Lively, Reynolds, and the New York Times. And although this order gave them an opportunity to amend some of their claims, for one reason or another, they chose not to. So Baldoni's whole offensive lawsuit was instantly gone. But then on April 2nd, 2026, Lively got her own taste of that dismissal medicine when Judge Lyman ruled on the defense's motion for summary judgment, dismissing 10 of Lively's 13 claims. He left her with only 3. retaliation against the studios, aiding and abetting retaliation against the PR firm, and breach of contract against the movie LLC. And on top of that, this also meant that every individual defendant that she named, including Baldoni himself, was dismissed out of the case entirely. So with those final 3 causes of action against corporate entities, trial was scheduled to start on May 18th, 2026. And that brings us right up to the settlement. You see, on Monday, May 4th, 2026, the lawyers for both sides put out a joint statement announcing a deal. That was just 2 weeks before the jury trial was set to begin. Here's what the statement reportedly said. The end product, the movie It Ends With Us, is a source of pride to all of us who worked to bring it to life. Raising awareness and making a meaningful impact in the lives of domestic violence survivors and all survivors is a goal that we stand behind. We acknowledge the process presented challenges and recognize concerns raised by Miss Lively deserve to be heard. We remain firmly committed to workplaces free of improprieties and unproductive environments. It is our sincere hope that this brings closure and allows all involved to move forward constructively and in peace, including a respectful environment online. So all in all, I'd say that this is a pretty vanilla statement, which is to be expected coming from a joint statement from both parties announcing a settlement. Apparently, the whole thing was reportedly hashed out at a court-ordered settlement conference the week before. This was one final attempt to settle this case at the 11th hour after multiple settlement talks failed. Now, real quick aside, if you need help with a real legal issue in your life, contact us at the Bytes Law Group at bytes.law. We're partnered with firms all across the US, so if you follow the link in the description below, we can see if we can help find you quality legal representation in your jurisdiction. Anyway, as I was saying, now, as is usually the case, the terms of the settlement were not disclosed to the public. This is basically par for the course. Every single settlement agreement that I have ever written / co-written or actually even seen has had a confidentiality clause built into it, which means there are really only a limited number of people on this planet who are allowed to see those details. But confidentiality clauses notwithstanding, it looks like TMZ and Page 6 are both reporting that according to their sources, no money changed hands between the parties. I'll come back to that in a second because that is an important data point here. First, though, I want to flag something here specifically about the reporting on this settlement. Particularly, a lot of it is saying Lively settled with Baldoni, but that doesn't seem to be actually accurate. Remember, Baldoni as an individual was already dismissed from the case at summary judgment. So as a legal matter, this settlement would have been between Lively and the corporate entities still left in the case. That's Wayfarer Studios, It Ends With Us Movie LLC, and the agency Group PR. Baldoni may have participated as a representative of Wayfarer, but he wasn't a defendant in his own name anymore. The only way that I can think of Baldoni maybe having any continuing legal interest personally that would be subject to a potential settlement agreement is from the dismissal of his case against Lively. The reason for that is because when Judge Lyman dismissed the Wayfarer Parties case, there were 2 arguments from the Lively camp that he denied without prejudice. The first was the issue of whether Lively's side was entitled to attorney's fees under New York's anti-SLAPP law. And the second was whether Lively's statements were privileged under California Civil Code Section 47.1, a new so-called Me Too retaliation law in California. For the anti-SLAPP question, the judge basically said, not enough facts have been briefed here for me to be able to rule on it now, but if you bring the motion again later, I can make that determination. And for the Section 47.1 question, the judge basically just said, I haven't ruled on this at all. So at least hypothetically speaking, because they were denied without prejudice, those motions could be brought again in the case where Baldoni was the plaintiff. Okay, so future Alita here once again. Here's where I need to amend a little bit of what I just said. So in the days since I filmed this video, the parties filed a notice of settlement and joint stipulation of the parties. And according to this notice of settlement, the individual parties that were already dismissed from the action were in fact also parties to the settlement agreement, including Baldoni. I'm not sure why exactly they also signed this settlement agreement, except that it may have included some kind of terms where they released some kind of right to appeal some judgment that happened along the way or something along those lines. But either way, I do need to correct that because, well, I guess the media was reporting correctly after all that Justin Baldoni had signed this settlement agreement, even though that seemed strange to me at the time. So I need to give credit where credit is due. And also, remember how I just mentioned Blake Lively's Section Section 47.1 arguments/motion. Well, as it turns out, that's the final fight here, because the same notice of settlement says that Lively did not release her ability to seek remedies under that section, and she fully intends to pursue it. And they're already fighting about how they're going to fight about it. You see, Lively's team filed a motion saying that they want to submit more briefing on this whole issue. But according to the Wayfarer Parties, all of this was fully briefed back in September, and nothing has really changed on this issue since then, according to them. Specifically, they say that any potential damages here would stem from Lively's efforts to defend the defamation claim, which is true. That's what it says under this statute, which was dismissed all the way back in last June, and Lively's team doesn't explain why they suddenly feel the need to submit more briefing on this when as little as like a week ago, according to the Wayfarer Parties, they were talking about it, never raising this issue. So I might do another video on this at some point to go over the Section 47.1 arguments and what exactly we're looking at here in terms of what both sides are saying about it. But for now, just know that we're not quite finished here yet. Anyway, aside from that, TMZ also noted in their reporting that the joint statement does not contain a direct apology from Baldoni. And on this point, I want to be super clear. In my experience, settlement agreements basically never include apologies from either side. I've had clients before who badly wanted an apology, and they even would have taken less money if they could have gotten an apology from the other side. And a big part of my job was helping them accept that no apology was coming because the other side simply wasn't interested in giving it. So Baldoni not apologizing here is not weird at all, and in my opinion, it's not even worth reporting on. Okay, so let's go over why I think this settlement signals a big fat failure for Blake Lively. To explain that, let's take stock. Lively filed first, Baldoni filed second, then Baldoni's countersuit got tossed, then Lively's claims got gutted at summary judgment, and now she's settled with these corporate entities for reportedly $0. Now, in fairness to Lively, the retaliation claim did survive summary judgment, and the corporate entities also chose to settle rather than go to trial. That is not nothing. But when you look at why she filed this lawsuit in the first place, this settlement is, in my opinion, a major failure for her. The way I see it, she was trying to do three things with this lawsuit. First, she was trying to retake the public narrative so she looked less like a predatory mean girl and more like a victimized party. Second, and relatedly, I think she aimed to use this lawsuit to stop the financial bleeding of her businesses. These are companies like her Blake Brown Hair Care and Betty Buzz, and according to Lively, they were taking major heat from the mean girl backlash. And then I'd say her final goal was probably to actually win the lawsuit against Baldoni's side, either with a splashy trial or by getting him to settle and pay up early. On that third goal, the lawsuit itself, she got gutted, and then she got what appears to be a very flimsy settlement agreement. 10 of 13 claims were dismissed, every individual defendant was kicked out, and she got zero verdict on the merits. And then on that second goal, the business arena, she was claiming $161 million in total damages, including $36.5 to $40.5 million tied just to the mean girl, bully, and tone deaf labels. Her own expert identified more than 176 million online impressions of those labels. Now, then again, looking at what would actually be presented at trial to a jury, I don't know how much that the jury would look at something like that and then be like, yes, this coordinated campaign is the actual problem, as opposed to you and your terrible personality and how rude you are to people and how much people are justifiably angry about what kind of a goblin you turned out to be. But the bigger problem with this is that by filing the lawsuit in response to the backlash, she arguably solidified the backlash. Whereas it could have been just some internet drama that goes away after a period of time as people start to go and focus on new internet drama. She basically drew this down and lengthened it for everyone to focus in on, and also to find more stuff to dig up and dislike her over. And she probably spent millions of dollars in order to drag that drama out. I mean, this case has been a monster on the docket. We're talking thousands of filings. I think the last one I saw was filing number 1431, and many of these filings are hundreds of pages each, and then there's discovery on top of all of that. Without even sitting down to even try to calculate anything, I would just guess that her own legal fees in this thing, just hers, just Lively's, have to be in the millions. So when there's a settlement that reportedly has $0 exchanged, that is not a settlement that recovers losses. That's a settlement that makes it go away. But she arguably could have recouped some of those losses if she could have at least successfully retaken the public narrative that's now labeled her as basically a goblin mean girl. I mean, looking back, it's pretty clear this lawsuit was supposed to flip the story so she looked like Baldoni's victim. Instead, the litigation surfaced her private texts, her emails with Reynolds and Taylor Swift, and behind-the-scenes evidence from the set. And one of the biggest self-inflicted wounds was when Baldoni's side released the raw on-set filming footage from It Ends With Us. This was crucial because this footage allowed the public to see for themselves that for at least some of Lively's complaint, her allegations against Baldoni weren't exactly supported by the facts. For example, Lively alleged in her original complaint that Baldoni leaned in, dragged his lips down her neck, and whispered, "It smells so good," while breaking character. She framed it as Baldoni being the one who couldn't keep professional boundaries. But, I mean, check this out. The actual raw footage tells a very different story. First, you can see that she's the one to break character first, trying to direct her director.
Can we do a score? Can we do a score? Couple scores? While we're... Yeah. Great. We have no issue talking most of the time. Yeah, you know, we'll never know. It's not an issue. You're never going to find out.
Oh my gosh, we don't shut up.
And Emily and I have we have these moments where
staring. You just stare.
Literally we've done it for 5 minutes. it's like, I think you would find it terrifying. We just literally look at each other and
when
time.
I found a sociopath.
And time stops.
Yeah.
But that's just how it's been for us from the beginning.
No, we're like, oh my god, there's not enough time.
Oh.
And they score again.
Yeah. It's like, oh my god, I forgot to tell you something else.
I think that's cute. You guys are really cute.
I think it's more than cute.
They won the Stanley Cup.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then let's just do one almost super close.
Yeah.
Can you guys frame up on the Sebastian on you? Yeah. We'll just do a.
And then remember, she makes this huge deal about Baldoni saying she smells so good, like he's some creepy creepster who's taking advantage of someone who can't escape him. But again, the reality just looks so different from the way she portrays it in the complaint.
Let's start on action. Let's just do everyone celebrate it. There's a game going on action. Okay. Yeah. Okay. People passing.
On action. It'll just be celebration. They just scored. Ready and
I'm gonna get your hat in everything, and then I'll take it off like I've got to kiss you. And then take it.
Great.
So how you want that?
Yeah, you know, like. That's his sticker, good.
Is it a sticker?
Yeah, no, there's no sticker.
And they score! They score!
Yo.
They score another.
I'm not getting dirt on you today.
I'm probably getting spray tan on you.
It smells good.
Well, it's not that. It's my body makeup.
And they win! They won!
All right, cut. We got plenty.
Yes.
Slow motion. It's going to be a 17-minute reel.
So as you can see in the footage, it's actually Lively who keeps breaking character first by eliciting conversation. She makes jokes about Baldoni's nose. She asks about a sticker. She talks about her husband. Baldoni genuinely, to me anyway, he looks like the one who's trying to keep them in the scene while at the same time trying to keep the movie's star happy. And then, calling for score cues and asking the AD to reset the take and whatnot. I'm not going to mince words. The effect of that footage release was devastating for the public's perception of Lively's allegations. It made her look like she was at the very least exaggerating this part of her complaint, and it gave the internet permission to question the rest of her claims. It was so bad that she had to file a First Amendment complaint that walked back and reframed parts of this very allegation. But by then, arguably the damage was done. The general public was already writing her off as a fake Me Too'er or another Amber Heard. So by the time we get to today, in the court of public opinion, she is arguably more of a quote-unquote mean girl in people's eyes now than she was before she filed this thing, and even after all of that internet drama. Looking at what I think are all of her probable goals here, that is not a draw. That, in my opinion, is a complete strategic failure of the campaign that she launched. Now, to be fair, Baldoni also didn't have a clean victory either. Like I said earlier in this video, his own lawsuit against Lively, Reynolds, and the New York Times got tossed at the motion to dismiss stage on June 9th, 2025. But here's the thing. Arguably, he had a lot less to lose going in. Before all of this, Lively and Reynolds were Hollywood's golden couple. Baldoni, on the other hand, was relatively low profile. But now he is way more well known, and the general consensus seems to be that between the two of them, he came out the more sympathetic one. So the way I see it, what we're looking at is a settlement with no money exchanged, obviously no apology, and Lively walking away from a supposed $161 million damages claim with nothing on the table after losing 10 of her 13 claims. And so, in my opinion at least, this settlement is the receipt that confirms Blake Lively's whole campaign failed, legally, financially, and in the court of public opinion. But those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you think that she got the best result that she realistically could after a summary judgment? Or do you think that this is a full-on capitulation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this, or at least found it interesting or informative. And if you did, I would love it if you could hit the like button. It does help us with the YouTube algorithm gods. And if you need help with a real legal issue in your life, contact us at the Bytes Law Group. Our link is in the description below.
Now, something that can make a big difference in these cases is whether or not your case is in the hands of a good lawyer. And so many people are out there fighting these battles without the best person on their team. I started Legalbytes because I saw this massive gap between how the legal system actually works and what most people understand about it. When you don't know your rights and you can't understand legal jargon that's used, when you're intimidated by the whole process, that's when you're most vulnerable. Making these videos, breaking down trials, explaining the law in ways that actually make sense to most people, that has been incredible. But after years of doing this, I wanted to do more. Because the thing is, when you're facing a real legal problem, you need someone in your corner who gets it. And that's why I created the Bytes Law Group. It's the same mission as this channel. Make the law work for you, not against you. Whether you're dealing with a consumer issue, you've been wronged by a company, or you just need someone to fight for your rights, we are here to help. I built this firm on the same principle as I built this channel. You deserve to understand what's happening in your case. You deserve straight answers, and you deserve a lawyer who treats you like a person, not a case number. We are taking the same approach that I take in every single video, breaking things down, empowering you with knowledge, and actually giving a damn about the outcome. So if you need legal help, check out Bytes Law Group at bytes.law, also linked in the description below. And if you don't need us right now, that's great too. I hope you keep watching, keep learning, and keep growing your understanding of your rights. That's how we make the world a better place.